Hi, Monty. This is Dr. Jester. I wanted to go over your Developing World Annotated Bibliography. So, in Transforming Worldviews, Hebert's book, the reading assignments that provide the foundation for this topic relate to understanding worldviews in tribal and oral societies, looking at, for example, worldview of small scale societies, peasant worldviews, those types of things. In Introducing Global Missions, you've got the same information basically looking at world religions, at applied anthropology, how to understand culture, especially in relation to the developing world. What are we talking about in developing world? We're talking about places where worldview is very different. Now, you've chosen Native Americans as a potential topic. That's actually not bad. The problem is you have narrowed all of your sources down to alcoholism. And if we look at this, looking at the subject, the historical and cultural roots of drinking problems among American Indians. So you're going to do an essay on alcohol abuse among Native Americans. That, I'm assuming, would be your current events outline, okay? That's great. But here's the issue. The instructions tell you to look at journal articles that pertain to worldviews in the developing world and construct a bibliography that's going to provide some context for your in-group discussion and provide support for your final project. What's the final project? It's worldview. So what you have then as a subject of alcoholism among Native Americans, and all of them seem to be related to that, alcoholism is your current events issue that you're going to be focusing on. It's not about worldview. So here we have a problem. You've got these sources, but you're not answering the question about understanding the developing world and worldview. So more appropriately to this particular annotated bibliography, if you're going to look at alcoholism among Native Americans, you have to get back to cultural roots. So what might be contributing factors of that? The loss of a sense of cultural heritage. So what is the cultural heritage? That's what you've got to talk about. You've got to talk about how do Native Americans see the world? What's their relationship to land? What is their relationship? How do they identify one another? Do they identify themselves as belonging to a particular clan? Is their specific identity tribal? How do they view time? What's their relationship to proxemics and all of those types of things? So learning something about their worldview perspective, that's what's important. So these are great sources for your current events issue, but it doesn't deal with the assignment specifics. And it's unfortunate because you did a great write-up and everything else, but in this particular developing world scenario, you go back to what your assigned reading was. It's talking about worldviews and how to learn them for the specific reason. How do these people see the world? Because Christianity provides a great answer for all of their questions. But if the way we present it is foreign to their cultural way of thinking, it's always going to be a foreign religion to them. So in order to understand how best to communicate the gospel in ways and means they can understand, we have to learn their culture. And so that's what this whole thing is really about. And unfortunately, your very good annotated bibliography does not address those issues. And so it is for that reason. Unfortunately, I do have to ask you to revise this. Now, if you want to keep those sources, you got to go back and say how each one of these contributes to your understanding of Native American culture and identity, worldview perspective. What does it tell you about how they perceive the world? Then you could tackle the alcoholism issue in current events. But again, you got to tie that, your understanding and how these sources contributed to their worldview perspective. And that is you're going to have to dig to get that out of here. Okay? So it does need to be revised, resubmitted, and then we'll go from there. And thanks a lot.